Folks, welcome back. I have your home prices and insights for the Peel and Durham region for week ending March the 2nd, 2022. You know, we're talking quite a bit now about market shift and more opportunities for buyers. I want this message to go out to people that are thinking of listing their homes in the near future. We are heading into a season where we do expect more and more listings. It's the spring season coming up, and every year in and year out, we get more listings at this time. But there are two enemies of the seller that it's so important the sellers understand. Sometimes they, I believe, take this for granted. And the more prepared you can be up front, knowing how to deal with your two enemies, the better. The one enemy is competition, and the second enemy is days on market. Let's talk about competition first. Let's not be naive as a seller thinking that even though there's 3, 4, 5 properties in our vicinity for sale, that people are only coming to look at my house. They're looking at all of them, and they're going to use whatever they can against you to get a better price on your property. And you as the seller are going to feel pressure based on what other homes are being listed for, based on what other homes are being sold for, to accept a price that maybe you don't want to accept. You are at the mercy of what other people in your neighborhood are selling their homes for. So competition is an enemy. And up front, who you hire matters, because how the entire listing is managed is crucial to your home standing out amongst the competition. How the home is marketed is crucial. How, a part of the marketing, a simple thing like the photos. On $2, $3, $4, $5 million properties, sometimes we see iPhone photos. It's ridiculous, but those homes are not standing out. How negotiations are managed is important. Knowing the difference between your property versus the other's property, like some of the fine details, is important, but those fine details need to promote your home in such a way that it stands out. And believe me, it's not just a matter of putting your home on MLS. There's a lot more that goes to it of how the entire listing is managed. So that's one. As far as days on market goes, well, the best way for me to illustrate how this can hurt you is, for a second, let's all put on our buyer hats. You're looking to buy. A new property comes on the market. You see a price. The default thought process right now is, wonder how much over asking is this property going to sell for. Well, then there's a property that comes on. It doesn't sell on offer night. A few more days go by. Next thing you know, it's 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, 15 to 20 days the property's on the market. 15 to 20 days is not a lot, but it's an eternity these days with the kind of market that we're in. Well, you see a property for 15, 20 days on the market. You're looking at the price. The default thought process is, I wonder how much below asking I can buy this house for. So days on market is your enemy. The longer the property is on the market, the harder it is for you to get your price. And the more vulnerable you are to what other people are selling for. So up front, who you hire matters. It's crucial, especially as we start heading into the listing season. When I go through the numbers, you're going to see active listings is on the rise. There are more properties coming on. There are more choices. Again, who you hire matters. If you feel this video could help anybody you know, please pass it along. Let's get into the numbers. Man, I love that intro song. If you want to talk to us at all, anything related to real estate, it's really simple. In the description below this video, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you. This way, I'll organize my schedule so I'll have time to talk about whatever's on your mind. Let's get into the numbers. Now, we're talking about small shifts that we're seeing out there. I'll point out a few of them that we're seeing in the data here. So here's a quick summary. Mississauga, Brampton, the Durham area, Prices are up for Mississauga and Brampton. They're slightly lower for Durham. Now for Durham, we're talking Pickering, Ajax, and Whitby. Let's get to Mississauga. Sales are up slightly. We sold 78 detached properties, and they've been going up slightly since the beginning of the year, week by week by week. So 78 were sold. These are just detached properties. 23 of those were at $2 million or more. And average price has jumped up, sitting at $1,914,000. $1.9 million is the average price in Mississauga for a detached property, which is 23% higher than last year's average sold price. Looking at the median price is 22% higher than last year's median price. So average sold price, 23%, median, 22%, pretty much the same thing no matter how you look at it. 78 were sold, 89% of those were sold at list price or more. Now when we look at, let's just take this year, 2022, you could see the orange is this year's sales figures, blue is last year. We're way behind last year's sales figures year to date. Looking at listings, we listed a little bit more than what we were listing last year at this time, but when we look at the year, we're way behind last year's listing pace. But looking at active listings, here's one of the signs where we see there's some more choices, some shifting going on in the market. Active listings has been increasing, and last week there were 188 active listings. Now, active listings means that at midnight of March 2nd, the weekend, how many properties are actually on the market available for sale? The answer is 188 Mississauga for detached properties. Months of inventory, up slightly, 0.6 is now the months of inventory for Mississauga for detached properties. There's another sign, like we want to see months of inventory climb up a bit more, but the fact that it's gone up is something. Let's look at Brampton. Sales for the last 4 weeks actually have been coming down slightly each week. Last week we sold 107 detached properties in Brampton. 21 of those were at $2 million or more. Average sold price climbed up from the previous week. It's now sitting at $1,649,000. Let me say that again. Average sold price in Brampton for a detached property is $1,649,000, and that's pretty close to the record of $1,658. Compared to last year, average price is 37% higher than what it was a year ago. Brampton has seen some phenomenal appreciation in prices. Average sold price is 37% higher. Median price is 39% higher than what it was a year ago. Looking at sales, of the 107 that were sold, 93% sold at list price or more. That's considered all of them. When we look at year to date, we could see with the orange being this year, the blue being last year's sales figures, we're way behind last year's pace when it comes to sales. We're way behind last year's pace when it comes to listings. We listed 196 last week, which is down slightly from the previous week. But active listings has been climbing. There were 230 active listings on the market for week ending March the 2nd. And months of inventory is up slightly, sitting at 0.5. Let's look at the Durham area. Now for Durham, I'm using Pickering, Ajax, and Whitby as my Durham sample. We sold 95 detached properties. 10 of those were at $2 million or more. Sales has been going up mostly since the year started, mostly every single week. Average sold price came down slightly from the previous week. It's now just under 1.5, sitting at $1,491,000 for the average detached property sold in the Durham region. Well, $1,491,000 is 38% higher than what it was last year at this time. And the median price, 45% higher than what it was last year at this time. Durham is another region that has seen huge price appreciations for a while now. When we look at sales, of the 95 that sold, 98% sold at list price or more. Last year was 92%. Durham has been on fire for a long time now. We listed 165 last week, which is a phenomenal week when we look at the last 4 months or so. And active listings a bit higher, sitting now at 132. Months of inventory has stayed the same at 0.3. Let's look at condos. Sales has been pretty much the same over the last 4 or 5 weeks. We sold 89 condos. This is just for the Peel region. The majority of those are in Mississauga. 89 were sold. 2 of them were at $1 million or more. Average sold price sitting at $728,000, which is 29% higher than what it was a year ago. It feels weird. I'm just saying these percentages like it's just normal, like 29%, 22%, 40%. Like they're just crazy percentages, year over year increases. What happens when we get eventually back down to 5%? Are we going to think it's terrible? Well, 5, 6, 7, 8%, it's kind of normal. But, you know, these days, 29%, if you just look back here, 35%, 32%. We're at 29 last week. Median price is 31% higher than what it was a year ago. Of the 89 that sold, 94% sold at list price or more. Just a few weeks ago, we were in the 60s, we were in the 50s. Before that, not a few weeks ago, sorry, a few months ago, a few months before that, we were at 50% of the Peel condo selling at list price or more. Now it's 94%, 97% the previous week. Active listings is up to 132. Listings are up. We listed 144 last week. We're listing more condos this year than we were listing last year. Months of inventory is up slightly, sitting at 0.3. And again, average sold price is sitting at $728,000. When we look at the summary, except for Ajax, Pickering, and Whitby, that kind of the months of inventory didn't change there. For Mississauga and Brampton and condos, months of inventory went up slightly. And these are some of the changes that we're seeing out there. Most of the changes normally, as far as market shifts go, they start in Toronto and then they kind of spread to the neighboring communities. And we're going to see more and more of the shifting, more and more opportunities for buyers, more and more prices stabling out, more and more listings coming up over the next few weeks. That's regular, normal for the season, but it does affect price and it does affect opportunities for buyers. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.